Hi, everybody. It's Jay Jacobs again, and welcome to 15 Minutes of Fit, which basically is a little short thing that we like to do where every once in a while we bring somebody on that's from the community and we have them share what's been going on with them in their life. Cindy, are you there?
I am.
Where is Cindy, Gloria? She's hiding from me. There she is. Hi, Cindy.
I
Um, Quick background. Cindy yesterday went on a 65-mile bike ride, and I wondered while she still was feeling the excitement and the adulation and effect of that amazing accomplishment, and also the challenges of what happened after that accomplishment. Cindy was gracious enough to hop on and share what she had done. So I showed her I have a few questions here. So the first thing I just wanted to ask you, just we'll get into about the ride, but how are you feeling right now? Like what's going on? What realistically, what are you feeling?
well, uh, headache a little bit, but I think
Mhm.
it's a stress from like putting my body through this. I had a little aches and pains yesterday, but I used my handy dandy pain relief liquid to help my knees, which I've had some problems. I actually had meniscus surgery like maybe 4 years ago, and a couple other issues, and I gel injections in both my knees. So I'm surprised I did as well as I did.
That's great. That's great. So 65 mile, nobody just gets up and decides they're just going to do 65-mile ride. So what it's called is the Bend to Shore, I think, bike ride. Is that the name of it?
Yep, been to the shore. It's
And
Ben. Oh, I know I should have written this down, but it is a support system to families of fallen police officers and firefighters. So it's to help the children and the families get through that hard time, whatever they need. And it's been going on 34 years, I believe. Yeah,
wow. Now, if I remember, you did it one time before?
correct. Last time I did it was probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
I did not finish, which that pushed me to do this race. I did 55 miles, and because I didn't finish was mostly because of the heat. That particular day was the hottest day of the year. It was 99 degrees,
Wow.
105 heat index, and I think on the last 10 miles it was probably about 110 on the macadam. And there was no shade the last 10, so I ditched it.
Wow. So there's a lot of events and things that we all participate or can participate in. I'm just curious because when you shared this with me a while ago, I think it's a great thing that supports people. I'm just curious, like was there a particular reason why you chose this event, even though it was 7 8 years ago, and then you come back again? Was there something that was the inspiration behind why you originally did it when you chose out of a bunch of things you could have done?
Yeah, I hope I described this right. My sister-in-law's sister's brother-in-law was a University of Pennsylvania police officer. He was on his way to vacation, and he ended up having an older man pull out in front of him, and he was killed. His wife, thank God, she was a lot further behind him, but his wife and his son were 10 cars behind him, and his friends were nice, of course, reacted and made sure she didn't see anything. So it's in memory of Jim Morrison,
Okay.
who is the guy who's like he's got amazing support system of family and friends. So we ride for him.
So that's Team Morrison, and that's so you are
Yeah.
specifically riding for. Okay, so it's somebody that you had a connection with, and that makes a tremendous amount of sense. So the last time you did it, you had a challenge, and what's tough is you can train all you want, but when you start dealing with heat like that, that's pretty challenging. So I know you didn't do it last year because of COVID. You decided to do it this year. And was there any particular thing that you did training wise before the race at all that was different, or anything that you anticipated that you were going to help get you over that hump at all?
Well, a couple things. I probably didn't train as much as I should have, but I did do a couple rides that had inclines in Baltimore. I have a friend who lives near Patterson Park, which is a great. It's a local park that has lots of mileage and lots of hills. I did that. I did a lot of 5 to probably 10 mile stints of bike riding. I have a rowing machine at home. I've gotten back into yoga. A lot of different things that I've just tried to do a little bit more in sequence to what I normally hadn't done in the past. And I was kind of skeptical, trying to do this again. But the team I had of Team Morrison the night before, we do a pasta party the night before, and they were all like, "Sin, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it." So the support system I had there of telling me that I could definitely do this again. And the funny thing is, I did not sleep the night before, so I had no sleep at all.
Wow.
None. I was up all night, tossing and turning, getting anxious about it.
Yep.
But I got up and I got in my car. I met the group. We got our bikes on. We headed down into the city, and we just kept on plugging along. And I guess they have buses that actually can take you to a different location if you don't want to finish. And some of the people I were riding with decided they were going to not ride anymore. So I was like, I can do it. And they were said, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm dedicated and committed to doing 65 miles because I didn't finish it last time, and that was the driving force."
So when you got down there, were you actually outside of Philly, or were you home and drove down?
We were home. We met the group because everybody was trying to support the, take all their bikes down with minimal amount of cars. And then we went into, I think it's 6th and Vine, is the police station. That's where he started off, and then went over to Ben Franklin.
Okay. So I saw that because you had the knee brace on there. So your knee's fine, doing okay though, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. It's a little bit of achiness, but the rub on helps a little to get, and it made a big difference from the time I came home. Of course, taking a hot bath with Epsom salts, and that when I got home, and just making sure I took care of myself.
Another thing, I'm not a doctor, but I will tell you one of the things that I did learn, Epsom salt baths are excellent, great. They're really good. The other thing I will tell you that we did learn on Biggest Loser, because we always were having like knee issues and joint issues, and I never understood the reason why behind it. But what Sandy would do is he would always wrap us, he would take like bags of ice, and he would wrap us with that Ace bandage stuff around the joint. And what I learned, which was interesting, I didn't realize it. If you think of it this way, when you're working out and you're stressing a particular area that maybe has had a challenge, like say like your knee, what happens is when you ice it, it forces the what you would call in theory blood it's not bad blood, but it's blood that kind of has been used. It forces it out of the capillaries and all those areas. And then what happens is when you take the ice off, the warmth, it brings like new, fresh, oxygenated blood into those particular areas. So that's one of the reasons why when people see athletes doing those ice baths and things like that, that's one of the things. So if you do run, I don't know, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but if you do run into some knee stuff ever, try that sometime in addition to the heat. Sometimes it does definitely help. So it's just something to consider,
Yeah. I also did a couple things as I was reading. I did buy things like this, which is has a lot of more electrolytes than most of.
Oh yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
And it came in different flavors. And I handed, even before I committed that I was definitely going to do it, I took a couple of these vials and gave them to my team members, just in case I didn't ride, so that they could throw them in their water bottles. And I've also, which I love, thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
I love,
love.
This is about the 5th or 6th time I bought these. So I've been drinking a lot of that, preparing myself for this. And so it evidently helped.
Yeah, no, those are, I'm really glad you shared that with the electrolytes. It's really smart. That drink is really helpful as well. That's great. So one of the things, since we talked last, one of my new favorite, because I navigate a lot of different people and help people deal with different levels. One of my recent things that reminded me of you and what you were doing is I love this book called The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. I started reading it, and what's so interesting is he's describing, and you're a great example of somebody that made themselves move out of the comfort zone, where you could have said, well, look, I got a little bit older, 7 or 8 years before, I have you could come up with every reason under the sun. But what was smart that you did is you said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do some training. I'm going to surround myself with other people, a team of people. You weren't by yourself as well. And what the comfort crisis is about is the fact that we kind of get in this little cocoon, like we can't move out a certain temperature, and like we can't do this.
Right.
And what ends up happening is you start to shrink your life. Things start to shrink when somebody says, I'm at this age, or whatever. So as you know, like even from one of the most recent people I had done a podcast with, Hurricane Julia Hawkins, who's 105 now, who's won like senior runs. Like, if there's one thing that we all learn, we don't have to be stupid about it, but we can do a lot more than we used to do. So with that being said, now that you have once again moved beyond your comfort zone and done something and accomplished it and feel good about it, I'm really curious. I'm sure probably because you're really committed to this for next year. Next year you'll be doing it. And I was supposed to do it with you, but that's another whole story that happened. I haven't shared, no big deal, but I learned some medical things that were really interesting that I will share with people. That I learned from something that's been bugging me for like 5 years. So I didn't do it right now. I will be doing it with you next time. And one of the things that came out of all this is that I found that I'm much better, from what my doctors have said, to do bike riding than running, or like lots of incline stuff, which was really screwing around with my hip. But like I said, this is a podcast, or this is a chat I want to have with you. We'll get into my whole other thing later on. But my question to you is, now that you've accomplished this 65-mile ride, have you thought about, or are you thinking about, like, is there something else that's next besides next year's ride again? Is there something else you've been thinking about now that you've accomplished this new thing?
I think for me, and I've done a lot of leading up to this. I mean, I never had a bike hitch on my car. I never had a bike rack for my car. So I am committing myself to, there's towpath on New Jersey, Washington's Crossing area, all the way to Lambertville. I want to start riding that. So I'm just going to take little by little and do it to start out with, and then just see how it goes from there. That's great. That's great. Because the baby steps are definitely things that help you work up to the big things, for sure. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, that anybody that's been following some of the conversations you and I've had over the past few months, I mean, you're a great example of somebody that has, put yourself out there, ask questions, participate, share what you're doing, which is great, because sometimes it invites other people to start to baby step into other things. Maybe they were telling you about it, maybe they're not. But a lot of times what will happen is somebody will come out of the clear blue sky and they go like, Cindy, I got to tell you what, I didn't want to do it, but I'm going to do a 5-mile ride or whatever. So I think that's one of the reasons why I love to be able to have people like yourself share what you're doing. The other questions, because we're going to try to keep this within the 15 minutes, I think what's really says a lot about you as a person, because I know you really like to give and you care. What are some thoughts or inspiration? I mean, look, you did this ride, you created a way for you to be able to donate money and have other people support as well. And we also put the link on here so people, the ride's over, but they can still support the great cause that this is a cause it's not like a little window. This is every day in and out. This helps, firefighters, policemen, all those people. So if you've not gone there yet, take a look at it. Even if it's whatever it is, contribute something. It's a great thing. But for you, my last question would be, what's some thoughts or inspiration or something you can share with people where you're not being paid to do this, but you're really contributing? Like what would you say to somebody to consider, whatever the thing is that they want to support? Is there any thoughts or ideas or anything that you have as a takeaway that might inspire somebody to consider something that they would join in on? I would say anything that you're really interested in. For example, as another example, I just really like the theater. So there's a small community. It's called Bristol Riverside Theater. They did an actual event the night before I did this ride that I went to, and it was amazing. It was just amazing. So I had already filled out an application to the theater to do a volunteer for them for all their events. So I think everybody just has to figure out what it is that they're passionate about. I've always biked as a kid everywhere. We didn't have the luxury of having more than a lot of cars, but I did do a lot of biking when I was little. So it was like that helped me to make this decision about riding, but also I think it's just whatever you were really passionate about. That's really what it comes down to. I love that. That's a great way to wrap this up. So everybody, please share this with everybody within this particular group, or share it with other people. Also go and take a look at www.fbbcf.org. You can donate there. You can also donate in honor of Cindy's name as well. You'll find her on there as well. And same thing. I love what Cindy shared. I think we all get so much, especially nowadays with all the challenges we have in front of us. The more we get out and help others, it just
quite frankly, it's very powerful. So Cindy, as always, you are a rock star. You're always out there. You're sharing with people. You're contributing. You are a force for change and helping people live a life that they love and living it well. And I want to thank you for that. And I'm sure you're going to be back with some other antics you're going to be up to, and we'll have you back on and share what you're doing with other people. Okay?
Yeah, can I just say one thing? The one
Sure.
other thing that really helped me, believe it or not, it was the last run that I had to do from the fourth stop to Atlantic City. I was on the back road, and honestly, this is really crazy, but there is a flower that my aunt had when I was riding my bike that grows wild in the woods. And I drove by, and it was almost like she was saying to me, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. So the mental part of it is not necessarily or the physical part of it is not necessarily the only thing, but the mental part of it and having that support in my life was really good and influential to me finishing the race.
I love that. That's even better as a way to end this.
Yeah, really. That was the topper of all.
That's really good. Cindy, as always, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be back again. So thanks again. And everybody check out what Cindy's got here is the website. Donate, support, and share, and find a cause that you can get involved with and affect other people's lives as well. So until then, everybody have a great, healthy time, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.